Do you ever catch yourself talking through a problem out loud when you are completely alone?
This is not just thinking in your head, but actually whispering the words into the empty room.
Maybe you are pacing your apartment, explaining a complex idea to an imaginary audience. For many, this is a secret habit, something you would stop immediately if someone walked in. Society might label this as odd or eccentric, a little quirk you should probably hide. But what if I told you this habit is not a sign of strangeness? What if it is a verifiable hallmark of a mind operating at a profoundly high level? This act of self-talk is just one of several solitary behaviors that are scientifically backed indicators of exceptional intelligence. These are the things the truly intelligent do when no one is watching. They aren't about showing off in public or winning arguments with others. They are about how the mind sharpens, organizes, and creates within the workshop of solitude. Most people will never understand the cognitive machinery behind these habits. They'll see the quiet and assume it's emptiness, not a crucible of thought. In this video, we are going to pull back the curtain on 6 of these secret solitary habits. And by the end, you will not only understand your own mind better, you will see your solitude as your greatest superpower. Our world is built for the loud, for the performer, for the constant socializer. From open-plan offices to endless group chats, the pressure to be constantly connected is immense. Because of this, many people who instinctively crave solitude start to wonder if there's something wrong with them. But the truth is, for a certain type of mind, solitude isn't emptiness. It is a cognitive laboratory. It is the only place where the noise of the world fades away enough for the signal of true insight to emerge. In this video, we're not just going to list 6 habits for you to check off. For each one, we will uncover the specific psychological engine that powers it. We will explore powerful concepts from psychology and cognitive science. You will learn about metacognition, pattern synthesis, and the brain's incredible default mode network. This journey will give you a new vocabulary to describe your own mental processes, and will reveal how one habit, which society actively discourages, is a secret weapon for history's greatest innovators. By understanding the why behind what you do, you gain ownership over it. You transform a private quirk into a conscious tool for intellectual growth. So if you're ready to see your solitude in a new light, let's begin. Let's start with the habit that might feel the most strange, the one we opened with. The first habit of the exceptionally intelligent is engaging in audible internal monologues. This is the act of deliberately talking yourself through a problem or an idea out loud. Far from being a sign of craziness, this is a powerful tool for enhanced thinking. The psychological engine powering this is a concept known as metacognition. Metacognition is quite simply the process of thinking about your own thinking. When thoughts are just swirling around in your head, they can be abstract, messy, and circular. Your brain can trick you into believing you understand something when you actually do not. But the moment you force yourself to articulate a thought out loud, something magical happens. You have to give it structure, logic, and a linear progression. You are essentially externalizing your brain's executive function. This forces you to confront gaps in your reasoning and flaws in your logic head-on. The famous psychologist Lev Vygotsky argued that this kind of self-talk is a critical stage in cognitive development for children. He believed they talk out loud to guide their own behavior and master new skills. Highly intelligent adults simply retain and refine this powerful tool for much more complex problems. Think of a software programmer who explains their broken code line by line to a rubber duck on their desk. The duck doesn't offer any solutions. The act of verbalizing the problem is what allows the programmer to suddenly see the bug. Historical accounts suggest that Albert Einstein would often mutter to himself while working on his theories. He was giving voice to the abstract, turning ethereal physics into concrete language. So, if you talk to yourself, you are not odd. You are engaging in a sophisticated process of cognitive clarification. You're not just thinking, you are architecting your thoughts. The second solitary habit is a behavior that can look like aimless obsession from the outside. This is the habit of deliberate, cross-disciplinary information synthesis. This is when you spend hours alone consuming seemingly unrelated types of information. Perhaps on a Saturday, you watch a documentary on deep-sea ecosystems, read 2 chapters of a Roman history book, and listen to a podcast on the future of cryptocurrency. To an observer, this might look like a lack of focus or a short attention span. But the intelligent mind isn't just randomly consuming data, it's gathering raw material. The psychological principles at play here are divergent and convergent thinking, combined with advanced pattern recognition. Divergent thinking is the process of generating many unique ideas and exploring many potential solutions. By feeding your brain information from biology, history, and technology, you are providing it with a vast palette of mental models. Convergent thinking, on the other hand, is about finding the single best solution to a problem. True breakthroughs happen when these 2 processes meet. The exceptionally intelligent mind excels at finding a surprising connection, a hidden pattern between these disparate fields of knowledge. The most famous example of this is Steve Jobs and his calligraphy class at Reed College. At the time, taking a class on typography seemed utterly pointless for someone in the nascent world of personal computers. It was a classic piece of divergent, curiosity-driven learning. Years later, when designing the first Macintosh computer, Jobs had his convergent moment. He insisted that the Mac have beautiful typography, multiple typefaces, and proportional spacing. This useless knowledge from calligraphy became a key differentiator that set Apple apart and changed computing forever. His mind connected the art of the letter with the science of the microchip. So if you are a curiosity-driven generalist, a knowledge omnivore, you are not unfocused. You are stocking the shelves of your mental laboratory for a future breakthrough no one else can see coming. Does that sound familiar? Spending a whole Saturday falling down a rabbit hole of curiosity. Let me know in the comments if you are a fellow pattern seeker. But what about the things you do entirely inside your own mind? The next habit is invisible, and it is a true hallmark of genius. This is the habit of meticulously conducting thought experiments. A thought experiment, or Gedanken experiment in German, is the act of running a complex what-if scenario in your mind to explore its consequences. This is not simple daydreaming. It is a structured, rigorous process of simulation that happens entirely within the theater of the mind. You might spend hours contemplating questions like, how would I redesign a city's transportation system from scratch? Or you might explore more abstract ideas, such as, what would society look like if humans did not require sleep? The cognitive power this demonstrates is immense. It shows that your mind is capable of not just understanding a system, but manipulating its variables and predicting the cascading outcomes. This is a foundational tool in both theoretical physics and philosophy. A young Albert Einstein famously conducted a thought experiment where he imagined chasing a beam of light. He asked himself, what would I see if I could ride alongside it at the same speed? According to classical physics, the light wave should appear frozen, a stationary electromagnetic field. But Einstein knew from Maxwell's equations that such a thing was impossible. This very paradox, explored entirely within his mind, set him on the path to the theory of special relativity. Similarly, philosophers use thought experiments like the trolley problem to probe the boundaries of our ethical systems. These are not just games, they are cognitive stress tests. If you find your mind naturally running these kinds of virtual simulations, it's a sign that you possess significant mental horsepower. You are not just an observer of the world. You are a deconstructionist, an architect of possibilities. Now, if you appreciate these kinds of deep dives into how the mind works, this is exactly what we do here. We create content for curious minds and deep thinkers just like you. So take a moment to subscribe and join a community that respects your intelligence. But it's not just about how you process information actively. The next sign is about how your brain works when you're doing, on the surface, nothing at all. This brings us to the habit society actively discourages, deliberately seeking productive boredom. In our hyper-stimulated world, boredom is seen as the enemy. The moment we have a spare second, we reach for our phones for a quick hit of dopamine. The exceptionally intelligent person, however, understands that boredom is not emptiness. That feeling of being bored, that's not emptiness. That's your brain's whetstone, sharpening your best ideas. This habit means actively choosing to be understimulated, going for a long walk without headphones, staring out a window, or just sitting in a quiet room. When you do this, you activate a crucial neural network in your brain that neuroscientists call the default mode network, or DMN. Think of the DMN as your brain's internal screensaver mode. When your mind is not focused on an external task, the DMN fires up. And this is where some of the most important cognitive work gets done. The DMN is responsible for creative incubation, where ideas you've been working on connect in novel ways. It's involved in self-reflection, helping you understand your own experiences and emotions. And it plays a key role in memory consolidation, solidifying what you've learned into long-term storage. Constant stimulation from our devices starves the brain of this essential processing time. While most people are seeking their next dopamine hit, the truly intelligent are seeking their next insight. The story of Isaac Newton discovering gravity after seeing an apple fall from a tree is a perfect illustration. He wasn't frantically working in a lab. He was sitting quietly in a state of contemplation. His mind was in default mode, primed to connect the falling apple to the orbit of the moon. So if you cherish moments of doing nothing, you are not being lazy. You are strategically giving your brain the space it needs to do its deepest and most creative work. The fifth solitary habit is meticulous observation of the mundane. This is different from casual people watching. It is the active deconstruction of everyday systems. An intelligent person might sit in a coffee shop and mentally map the flow of customers, staff, and orders. They notice inefficiencies, patterns, and the unwritten social rules governing the space. This is powered by a drive to understand the how and why of everything, a hallmark of high-level systems thinking. Systems thinking is the ability to see the world not as a collection of static objects, but as a web of interconnected elements. By observing a simple system like a coffee shop, you are honing the skills needed to understand far more complex systems like an economy or a political movement. It's a mental muscle being trained on a small, observable playground. This habit reflects a mind that is never truly passive. Even in moments of rest, it is analyzing, categorizing, and seeking to understand the underlying structure of reality. So if you find yourself mentally reverse engineering the world around you, you're not just zoning out. You are practicing the art of seeing what everyone else overlooks. Finally, the sixth habit is one of the most challenging and rarest mental exercises done in solitude. It's the practice of actively arguing against your own strongest beliefs. This isn't about self-doubt, it's about intellectual rigor. An intelligent person will deliberately take the opposing side of an issue they feel passionate about and try to build the strongest possible case for it. This solitary debate is a powerful tool for developing what psychologists call cognitive flexibility and intellectual humility. Cognitive flexibility is the ability to switch between different mental concepts and to think about multiple things simultaneously. Intellectual humility is the recognition that what you know is finite and potentially flawed. Our brains are wired with confirmation bias. We naturally seek out information that confirms what we already believe. This habit is a conscious, deliberate rebellion against that cognitive laziness. By trying to steelman the other side's argument, you're stress testing your own beliefs to see if they hold up. The goal isn't necessarily to change your mind, but to understand an issue at a much deeper, more nuanced level. If your opinion survives this internal crucible, it emerges stronger and more refined. This practice separates the dogmatist from the true thinker. So, if you play devil's advocate with yourself, you are not being indecisive. You are forging your beliefs in fire to make sure they are worthy. Enough theory. Let's make this real. Knowing these habits is one thing, intentionally using them is another. All 6 of these habits are ultimately about one thing: consciously creating the space for deep processing. So here is a simple 2-step framework you can use today to make your solitude more intellectually productive. First, I want you to audit your solitude. Look at the time you spend alone and ask yourself a simple question. Is this time passive or is it active? Passive solitude is scrolling through social media or binge-watching a show to numb your brain. Active solitude is engaging in one of the habits we've discussed, like thinking through a problem or learning something new. There is nothing wrong with passive solitude, but be honest about which is which. The goal is to slowly increase the ratio of active solitude in your life. Second, schedule productive boredom into your week. This might sound strange, but I want you to literally put 15 minutes in your calendar with the title, Do Nothing. During that time, put your phone in another room. Turn off all screens and just sit. Stare out the window, watch the dust motes dance in a sunbeam, and let your mind wander. It will feel uncomfortable at first. That's your brain detoxing from constant stimulation. But that discomfort is the gateway to your default mode network and the insights it holds. Here's a challenge for you. Try one of these 2 steps this week. All it takes is just 15 minutes. See what ideas come looking for you when you finally give them a quiet place to land. So we've seen how you think, how you learn, and how you rest. We've explored 6 solitary habits: talking to yourself, synthesizing diverse information, running thought experiments, seeking productive boredom, observing the mundane, and challenging your own beliefs. What does this all add up to? It adds up to a profound truth about the nature of intelligence. True intelligence isn't about what you know. It is about how you process what you know. It's not a library of facts, but a dynamic, powerful engine for insight. And that engine requires a very specific environment to run at peak performance: solitude. Solitude is not a cage. It is the workshop of the mind. So, if you recognized yourself in these habits, I want you to internalize this message. You are not weird. You are not antisocial. You are a deep thinker in a world that has become increasingly shallow. Your mind is a private club, and you understand that not everyone needs a membership. And that is not a weakness. It is your greatest competitive advantage. So the next time you catch yourself whispering a problem out loud to an empty room, don't stop. Smile, because you've just caught your genius at work. If this video resonated with the deep thinker in you, subscribe for more content that respects your intelligence. We are building a community for people who love to think, and we'd be honored to have you. Thanks for watching, and as always, keep thinking.